we're going to compare linear and quadratic relations. So we're going to try to figure out the difference between the two. Now, first off, linear relations form what? Do you know? When you graph them? That would be quadratic. Linear form just straight lines. So any of those, all of those are linear relations, right? They're formed by lines. So we know that if we were to look at a graph and see that, we know that it's linear. Okay? Quadratics form, what did you call them?
Parabolas.
That's right. A little this shape here. Maybe they're much thinner and facing the other way. Or maybe they're far wider and facing up. All of these would be considered quadratic, right? Because they create parabolas are a quadratic relationship. Okay, so this is what a parabola would look like. When looking at equations, we always look to the variable of the highest degree. So I have two different functions here. Now I know you probably hadn't seen f of x before. Do you remember seeing that? This is just function notation. It essentially stands for what our y is. Okay. In this one, I have two variables. Okay. Now, if a variable is to the power of 1, so I'm actually going to go to this guy here first. If the variable at the highest degree is 1, do you know what type of relationship that is? Well, if the variable with the highest degree is the number 1, then it's linear. Okay. Now, in this one here, the variable with the highest degree is number 2. If it's number 2, what do you think it is?
A quadratic.
That's right. Okay, so if we're looking at a TIC, that should be a T. Okay, so we just got to look at the variable of the highest exponent. That's the only thing we really need to focus on for that. Okay.
What if it has 3?
Then it wouldn't be linear or quadratic.
Oh.
It's called something called cubic, but you don't technically focus on that in this course. Okay, so we're just focusing on linear and quadratic. But good question. And finally, if we're given coordinates here, one way we do it is we find the differences. So we look at the x values because those represent independent, and we make sure they're increasing by the same amount. In this case, they are. They're all going up by 1. So if they are, we can take something called first differences. So we take the second value and subtract the first. This is first difference. That's right. So if we do 2 subtract 0, we get the value of 2. 4 subtract 2? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So if the first differences are the same, and which they all happen to be, you check them, they're all 2. What type of relationship is this?
Linear.
Yeah, it's linear. Okay. Now we'll do first differences here. First diff. Subtract 1 from 0, what do we get?
1.
We get 1. 4 from 1. Yeah. 9 from 4. 16 from 9.
7.
Yeah, and 25 from 16.
9.
That's right. Are the first differences the same?
No.
No. So this is not linear. So what we do from there is we take something called the second differences. So we take those differences and subtract those two. So 3 subtract 1 will give us, 5 subtract 3.
2.
7 subtract 5.
2.
And what's the last one? 9 subtract 7. What do we get?
2.
Are the second differences the same?
Yeah.
That means it is quadratic. Okay? So these are kind of 3 different ways you can differentiate between what is linear and what is quadratic.